So now we're just going to start stacking our traditional wedding cake, and I have all the 3 cakes made and prepared well. You can also see it's been doweled. So I have used the exact same method that you guys have been doing. There is the paper marking of the 2 tiers, which are the bottom and the middle, and that is the top. For top we don't have, right? So all the measurements, like you guys know, it's been done and marked, and both the plastic and the wooden dowels have gone inside both these tiers. I have done them ahead of time because it's like the repeated lesson that I've been telling you in the past lessons. So this part is quite done and kept, and like the decoration stuffs are also made. See, certain things where you need a connect between the top and the middle and the bottom, and if you just need a flow of a certain painting or texture or something, then you could do them after stacking. Certain things which are independent and which is tier based, then you could just do them before stacking, or then it will be on the cake, and then that's a tall cake, and going around to stencil could be a little tedious. So this is one step that you could do ahead of time and keep. So now we have 3 tiers, and understanding to work with 3 tiers will just give an extra knowledge and confidence, so that you could stack even taller cakes. And that logic, what will happen, because we've done 2 tiers in the past, and now what will happen if you're going to have more tiers coming? It could be like 4 tiers or even 5, or it could be more. So how are we going to deal with that? Now this one bottommost I have is a dummy. Now, because what we will do, if there is a dummy that is coming in place when you're going to do wedding cakes, because if there is like a 5-tier cake or a 6-tier cake, if your clients want it like really too tall and big, and not all of it they wanted cake as well, and so there comes a requirement then you have to be having dummies in between, or then there could be like the bottommost dummy, and then you could choose to have even like a single tier or double tier on the topmost or somewhere in the middle to be cake. Now, so I have included a dummy as well here, and that's a hexagon shape, just to give some movement and not keep it like quite monotonous throughout, like a round shape. And that is draped in the usual way. It's paneled all around, and then the edges are sharpened like your square cake's edge, and the top is again the sheet on top, and the dummy is kept on top of the rolled sheet of fondant, and then you go cut around, allow it to dry on the butter paper for some time, and then you could just take it and place it on top. You also know how we could be working on dummies. So there is shortening all over, spread out into thin layers, and so the fondant will stick very well on the bottommost. Now I'm just going to start working from the bottommost tier. So I'm going to set these cakes aside. So that's a dummy. And how do you prepare the board? If the board itself comes in the color that will go along with your wedding cake, you could just leave them as it is. But if they are like, say, suppose in like a silver color, and then your cake is all in different colors that wouldn't go on a silver, then you have to cover the cake board with fondant, like roll it very thin. But in this material, how the fondant would stick, again a simple rub of shortening, thin coat all over on the board, and then you could roll it out separately in a sheet, and then take it, place it on top, use a fondant smoother, and then cut it out neatly. You could also go on to add a ribbon, and that will be at the end. Now on this board, if it is a cake also, it works the same way. Even if it is dummy, it works the same way. And now that it is fondant cake, I'm going to use royal icing. If it is a ganached wedding cake, or if it is a buttercream wedding cake, then you could use even a ganache or melted compound or even royal icing. Anything would do. So the cake and every other tiers on top would just stick well with each other, and they're just not going to move away from place. So I'm just going to get royal icing, just going to pipe, and you want it like not very thick and dry, or otherwise it's just not going to help stick. Just place the bottommost dummy and then give it a shake and see if it is in the middle. So, and then on top of this, I want to add royal icing before I place the next tier, which is the bottommost cake tier. I'm just going to lift this cake off this board. Just going to use the knife. I'll see I just go get to the back. And there is the acrylic board at the bottom, right? So just lift, and I'm going to take this knife out and hold my hands on either side. So I'm just going to place this on the dummy. Just take my hands out. Obviously there could be a little damage, but that shouldn't be a problem. I'm just going to wipe my hands and check if it's in the middle. So it's like properly sitting there in the middle. So to me, I'm just going to keep this as the back. So I will have some time until the royal icing like completely dries out. So I just want to match this back to this corner or the edge, right, of the hexagon tier. Now I just want to check if this is fine and in the middle. So now it looks good. I'll just fix whatever fondant just came out while I was just shifting the cake. Okay, so now this tier is done. Now I'm just going to get the center dowel going in. Now this royal icing alone is quite sufficient to get the dummy tier stick to the cake if the dummy is in the bottommost tier. Like say if you're going to have 2-3 dummies in the bottommost tier, you really don't need a dowel to pass through the dummy, because the royal icing will hold them in place, but obviously you need to give it the time for the royal icing to dry. It may not happen like in 2 hours or 3 hours. You have to give it more time. Give it like 5 to 6 hours, and you're sticking the dummies together. If they are in the bottom tier, you could do like ahead of time and keep, when like minute or finishing touches that you have to do, that you could just do after starting. Now that we have only one tier of the dummy, and also just the cake is going right on top right now, I could just choose to use the dowels just until the end of this cake. But it is not wrong also to pass the dowel through the dummy, so you can be like extra sure that the cake and the dummy will just be in place and there is no way that they could move. Okay. Now, say assuming that this tier was not even there, and now this is the bottommost tier that you're going to work with, and that is cake. Now this would have gone to this board, right? And even in that case, there would be royal icing that will be applied on this board, and you will place this particular cake on top of the board. And now on top of this, we will be placing another tier. Okay. Now once you have 2 tiers of the cakes in place, and that is the right time to insert the center dowel. Why? Because there is a board under this cake, right? And there is a hole in the middle of that board. Now we have to pass through the dowel. So the dowel, the center dowel, will go through that hole and get to the bottom of the bottom board. This I would like to call it the presentation board. Now if I'm going to place this tier on top, and then if I want to pass the center dowel at that point, then the center dowel has to pass through the hole which is under this cake that will come on top. And then it also needs to be like exactly aligned to the hole of this board which is under this cake as well. Now that could become a nightmare, or you could be like kind of holding the center dowel and keep searching for where the hole is in this particular cake. Now it may go through this first cake, it may not go through this, because there could be a mild misalignment between the tiers, or just you're trying to, or while you're just trying to place it in between, or you feel like they are in the middle, but then the fondant that you draped around, like one side just got thicker and the other side is thinner, and then the center just doesn't come aligned to you. So at this stage, which is, if this is the bottom tier and if that is a cake and there is one more cake on top, and that is when you will do. Now if this is a dummy but it's still that is a cake, we will do the center dowel at this point when you have 2 cakes or one dummy or one cake, and that is when we will do the center dowel. Now I just need to know the height of the tiers. Okay, first we could just do that ahead of time, like when we had the cakes separately. So that will be 10 centimeters plus a 13 centimeter, and then about a 17 centimeter, and then about another 13 centimeter. So the total is 53, and so the dowel has to be like about, say, 2 centimeters lesser than this entire total height of all the tiers that you will be using. So I have my center dowel here. Just going to get it measured, and also the center dowel I just sharpened out one part, so it is easier for me to just pass the cake through. So let me just have this measured. I'm just going to start from here, and then that's about 30 centimeters, and then we have about 51.5. So I'll just go with this 51.5, which is like 1.5 centimeter lesser than the total height of all the cakes together. Okay, so I'm just going to pass the dowel with the pointy side just going a little below until I find the hole that is there in the bottom of this tube. Now obviously with the paper marking I already have marked the center. So that is very important for us to know where the center is, and we don't want to do the calculations after the whole thing has been stacked up. So with the paper marking, the center dowel is already marked here. To just begin with, I'm going to keep the pointy side of the dowel to just go in, and then I just need to be sure, look through the dowel and be sure that I am passing it through straight. Now I feel that it has passed through the center dowel because it is moving quite in, right? Now I don't want the pointy side of the dowel to be going down all the way. I want a pointy side facing upward. I did that because I just wanted to make it easier for the dowel to pass through that hole. So after I know that the dowel has passed through the hole at the bottom of this cake, I just want to flip this and have the rounded side of the dowel to go through. There was a little bit of surge, and that is fine and it is normal. So once you have done that, push it through, and it should go all the way down till the bottom of the dummy. And you have to feel this board, and just to be sure, you could measure. That was a 13 and a 17. That was about 30, right? The other two. So I have about 28 here, which means we have just right. And that actually means the dowel has passed all the way to the bottom of this dummy. Okay, so now this part is done. And here again, we need the royal icing for the tier on top to come. I'm just going to pipe the royal icing here, well within the dowel. I'm just going to lift this up. I'm going to use a knife. I'm going to go to one side where I know I could just put the knife and it could be the back, right? So after it's being lifted, a bit of damage is fine, it can be fixed. Just balance the cake. in both your hands, and then now you just need to start feeling where the hole is with one of your finger and take it all the way up there, and with your finger just getting to know where the hole is. Hold the cake straight, and that's important. Don't hold it slanting. Pass it through. Just going to check and wait to see where the dowel passes through, and it's really good if it passes through right in the middle. And as you go near, just don't be scared and then take your hand out, because the dowel is there and it's just going to hold all the weight of this deer as well. There is a bit of damage there with the fingers just going in and out. I just wipe my hands and then get that one fixed as well. You know that it's getting heavy, so I just want to go gently press it down. It's still soft obviously, but just that it is dry on the outside because it is fondant. And now I have to just check if it is in the middle. So get to the eye level, because there will be a little time, obviously the dowel will not just move, but you could just see where have you aligned your back of the cake. Now say suppose this is the back of my cake and I'm going to align the back of the cake here, and now that it is royal icing, right, so it won't stick to my hands. And if you've done that using buttercream or ganache, then obviously you will not have that leverage to do that. Now until the royal icing dries, it will allow a little bit of the movement. Okay, so now the back is aligned. Just going to turn the front towards me to see if it looks good, and if it is in the middle, no, it looks good. Okay, and then I'll just do the last tier. Just want to push this down. More royal icing within the dowels. It's a small cake, not very heavy. Again, you have to go to the bottom and actually check where the hole is. You just need to use your fingers right here and then just feel the hole, and then just make sure your hands that's just gone under the cake doesn't come in contact with the cake on the sides. Okay. Again, I just wipe my hands now. I'm just going to fix this bit of ganache that's just come out. And again, see, here is the seam, right? I'm just going to align it with just that line. In case there is ganache marking with some wet fine cloth, just could wet it, or you could just dip the cloth with vodka also and just rub it out, that we could just clean it up. Just checking if it is in the middle and if it is all straight. Okay, so this looks good. So with the calculation, you can see the center dowel has not passed through the top. It is all well inside. When you see the center dowel is there with the flat bottom of the dowel, it's gone right into the dummy and all the way down there. And this dummy, like most people are doubtful if it would take the weight. The dummies would take the weight. You don't have to dowel the dummies. That is not necessary. They are high density stuff and they take all the weight and they're not going to break, right? So now we are supported the cakes, and like they are extremely heavy, but you can see this tier is just taken the weight of these two and then standing tall. That is only because of the plastic dowel and the wooden dowel placed in the exact measurement. And though you find it very difficult to just put them inside because they're just too close, and that is very important to add to the stability, to stack a tall tier and then just be very confident that it is going to stay like that in place, and it is just not going to be slanted, and it's not going to move away from place, because royal icing is just going to hold. So we've just finished stacking this tall wedding cake, and I will catch you in the lesson where I will show you how you're just going to place the flowers to finish decorating our traditional wedding cake.